Hey guys, and welcome back to another Star Wars Weapons and Technology episode with me, Tino. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the rifle that became the standard issue for all Imperial Stormtroopers, and also the weapon of choice for many members of the Rebel Alliance. I am, of course, referring to the legendary E-11 blaster rifle. Now, the E-11 is actually a descendant from the DC-15A, which you see the clone troopers used during the Clone Wars. Now, around about the time it was needed and built, it was during the conflict of the Galactic Civil War. And during that war, they found that whilst stormtroopers could be fighting at close quarters in the streets of Mos Espa one day, and next morning could see them locked in a long-distance conflict around the Roshir trees of Kashyyyk. Now, because there was diverse and intense fighting conditions between the two, they tended to need a new weapon that could handle close-quarter combat, but also long-range combat. A standard weapon that could do both, seeing as you could be deployed in one situation one day, and then a different situation the next day. So instead of having to swap out your loadout all the time, you needed a weapon that could handle both situations. So the Imperial Army, they needed a weapon which could be used by all its troops in whatever situation they found themselves in. And it was with those requirements in mind that Blastech Industries, who is the market leader in the production of energy weapons as well as light artillery, they came about and developed the E-11 blaster rifle. The E-11 quickly gained an enviable reputation for both versatility and reliability. In no time at all, this new, highly adaptable piece of military hardware came to be sported by galactic citizens of all kinds of allegiance. Rebels and Imperials, independent smugglers and bounty hunters are all known to have used it at one time or another. It was quite an achievement, this weapon, for the Rebel Alliance to get hold of one, and they'll only be able to get a hold of them because, with the immense size and wealth of Blastech Industries, it didn't need to sign an exclusive supply deal with the Empire. So the Rebel Alliance, but with that in mind, the Rebel Alliance was still only able to obtain its arsenal of E-11 blasters through black market deals and outright theft. But by the time of the Battle of Endor, the Rebels' supply of these weapons was almost equal to that of their Imperial counterparts. So Blastech had come up with a good, all-round, reliable weapon that was favoured by many across the board. So much so that, let's say during the Galactic Civil War, both sides used it heavily. Now, once I get my words right, the popularity of the E-11 owed a great deal to its flexible design. As I said before, it had a low weight and it had excellent balance, which meant that it could be used just as effectively single-handed in close combat situations as it could at medium and long range. Its configuration with a folding 3-position stock meant that it could be fired from the hip or at arm's length, in the manner of a blaster pistol. It could also be set up as a sniper rifle using the stock to hold it steady, but despite its long-range capability, it would have been useless as a rifle without its scope. The scope was energized by its own separate power unit, and users were able to adjust the focus and increase magnification on it. Although it was much more unwieldy than a blaster pistol, its compact design still made it far lighter and more manageable than other weapons with equivalent firepower. It was renowned both for its high accuracy and extreme reliability, and it had a range of settings from stun to vaporize. A stun, of course, could be guaranteed to produce no long-term ill effects as well. And so successful and popular was the E-11 that it started to spawn a number of related models. Blastech built an E-11S variant, which had a slug thrower mounted just below the blaster's barrel, so that users could toggle between slugs, blaster bolts, or both. Then there was another model, the E-11B, which boasted an enhanced cooling system that allowed a greater rate of fire. Developed by BlastTech employees who defected to the Rebel Alliance before the Battle of Endor, this version saw plenty of action on the surface of the forest moon. The E-11's success also resulted in attempts by BlastTech's competitors to obtain a slice of the lucrative market niche that the weapon had come to dominate. Most notorious of these attempts was the development of the Stormtrooper 1 by rivals Sorosub. This technological clone of the E-11 was similarly popular and was later renamed the Freedom 1 after Sorosub changed allegiances and supported the Alliance. Now, whilst BlastTech was actually designing this weapon, they realized that there were two main requirements they needed for the E-11. And that was for it to be accurate at long range and to be usable single-handedly, which meant that it had to have a long barrel but be relatively short and light overall. Now, to achieve this, the actuating blaster module and the prismatic crystal housing were placed behind the barrel. This way, it could run almost the entire length of the weapon. And the result was to achieve a range of 3 times that of a blaster pistol. The remaining parts of the weapon were mounted to the side or underneath the galvan circuitry, while the gas chamber had a unique tubular design that wrapped around the back of the barrel. So great was the force of the blast produced by an E-11 on full power that even an Imperial Stormtrooper's blast-proof body armor offered only limited protection. And while it was typically used as a semi-automatic, the E-11 also had a fully automatic and pulse fire settings. And this made it possible for one sniper, with the benefit of surprise, to decimate a large troop in seconds. And to emit their intense bolts of deadly force, all blasters needed to have a plentiful supply of energy. The E-11's power pack contained enough energy to produce 100 shots. Easily replaced, even in the heat of battle, Stormtroopers always carried spares on their utility belts. This would enable them to maintain intense assaults over long periods of time. Now, in order to attain the E-11's quite astounding record for reliability, coolant was force-fed through coils that were wrapped around the most vital areas of the blaster. And these coils carried the heat forward into the vent capacitor, from which it was released into the atmosphere. As the gas charge was not as easy to replace as the power packs, the E-11 held enough plasma gas for 500 shots. To refill it, users had to fit a small canister to refill a valve. The highly pressurized gas was then released into the weapon's gas chamber. Now, to ensure quick repair times, an internal module contained components critical to the working of the E-11 blaster. Where necessary, a faulty or malfunctioning module could be removed and replaced with the greatest of ease. And that is everything you need to know about the legendary E-11 blaster rifle as used by Stormtroopers and that we all know and love in the original trilogy. Descendant from the DC-15A as used by the clone troopers in the Clone Wars, and predecessor to the rifle the troopers of the First Order use in the new trilogy. And there we have it. So be sure to hit a like if you like the video, subscribe to stay up to more, and as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you all in the next one.